What's going on, people? It's Chris back with another solo video here. Today, I figured I'd actually do something a little different than normal. I'm not going to talk about the hobby, I'm going to talk about a board game. And I might actually make this a little segment, so stay tuned if you want to see more little board game reviewy things. So yeah, a lot of you, I don't actually like talk about this with everybody, but I actually play a lot of board games with my wife. And we're always looking for really good two-player games because that's, with young kids, that's generally what we have time for. We don't have as many people over as we used to. And we're looking for like good quality kind of two-player games we can play in under an hour. And we have been playing Splendor Duel, which is actually a pretty new game. So Splendor came out a few years back, and it's a pretty cool game you can play with like I think 3 to 5 players. And this is basically taking some similar concepts from Splendor and adapting it for like a two-player proper experience. Now, why is that important? So you'll find a lot of games even that can play at 2 players, but play with 3, 4, and 5. Generally don't play necessarily that well at 2 players. They're much better with like 3, 4, or 5. Catan's a great example of this. You can play a 2-player game of Catan, but it is not that much fun when you're just kind of going head to head and like blocking each other and that sort of thing. So talk about Splendor Duel. So Splendor Duel is basically a game where you draft cards. So you have these gemstones that get randomly sort of deployed on this board at the beginning of the game, and during your turn you can basically take an action and pick up 3 in a particular row. The golds are the wild cards, and essentially there's another action you can take where you can pick up a gold piece and reserve one of these cards. So there's 3 rows of cards here, as you can see in this description. Generally, the ones at the bottom are cheaper to buy. The ones in the middle are medium to buy and have more powerful effects, and then the top ones are really tough and more like end game purchases. So there's big decks of cards associated with these, which means there's tons of sort of variation and replayability, and that's where the game gets a lot of its charm. And the basic core concept of the game is you're collecting gems and you're crafting them. So you can collect gems on your turn, or you can buy gems on your turn, or you can reserve a card to build later and pick up a wild card gold token. The basic premise of the game is cards sometimes have prestige on them, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, or even 5 prestige. Some of them have like royal crowns because they're royal gems, and they all usually have a color association. So there's 3 ways to win. You can get to 20 prestige, you can get to 10 prestige on any one color of gem, or you can get to 10 crowns, which my wife and I found out is generally, unless we're just playing wrong, the hardest way to win. The thing with crowns, though, is if the first time you get to 3 and 6 crowns in your collection of gems, you actually get a royalty card. So you get like this special card that comes with free prestige and a free action. Yeah, so basically you're kind of like fighting over the kind of gems and making kind of sound purchases. And when you buy these gems, generally they give you the ability to knock one off the cost in the future. So if I buy this like white gem or this red gem, generally they give me the ability to pay for free with that in the future. So basically the cost of these higher up ones is much higher, but they become cheaper as the game goes because you build up your collection of jewelry that you made that make the stuff more cheaper to buy in the future. So it's sort of like a planning game, a little bit like Seven Wonders in a way, Duel, like where you're like building up your resources and then you're purchasing more expensive cards. But I really love the gem element. This is really cool. So like essentially this board gets emptied as people take them, and they go back in the bag when this random bag when you spend them. And basically there's these like favor tokens. There's 3 of them in the game, and basically anytime you do something that's sort of like, oh, you're doing that, you give one to the other player. So like if you have to replenish the board on your turn, which you can do before you take an action as an option, you have to give the other person a favor token. The favor token can be exchanged for a free gem at any time before you take your action. So you're basically giving the person like a wild card almost that they can use in the future for free. So you kind of got to be careful when you do that. So my wife and I usually have this sort of like tension of like, oh, who's going to refill the board, right? So it's kind of cool in that regard. You don't really want to, but sometimes you have to if your options kind of suck. So that's a general premise. We've played 3 times in a week. We're having a lot of fun with it. And I have to say, like, so far, I'm not bored of it at all. Kind of reminds me of Jaipur in that sense. Like, after many years of playing Jaipur, we still like to pull it out and play it because it's a lot of fun. So if you're looking for a really fun and enjoyable 2-player experience with your partner, maybe just a friend that you play board games with often, give Splendor Duel a try. It is super good. And yeah, I'll try and do more of these little like board game videos in the future. Till next time, like and subscribe. Thanks a lot for tuning in, guys. Take care.